Good morning, everyone. I'm Murtaza Najabat Ali, CEO of Revive Medical Technologies. At Revive Medical Technologies, we are your comprehensive software solution partner for healthcare. We take your idea from a napkin sketch or a clinical pain point and we guide you, assist you, and partner with you all the way to a full scale commercial reality, whether it be a healthcare software, AI driven EHR, and its regulatory or FDA compliance, cloud infrastructure, AI, or everything in between. We are not consultants who just give you a report or a code. So we are developers, builders, regulators, and operators. Today, I will show you how exactly we help US healthcare organizations like clinical practices, hospitals, digital health startups, healthcare startups, device manufacturers, and universities, where we help them convert their ideas into a commercializable product and launch better products faster with less risk. Let me start with our leadership. This is important because healthcare software is not just a code; it is clinical depth. So, I, being the founding CEO at Revive Medical Technologies, professor at University of Jordan and Rifa International University, I'm also elected distinguished scholar at Comstek for the capacity building of OIC member states. So, I carry more than 2 decades of experience in the research and development of medical devices, their production, and their technology transfer and licensing. So I used to be the founding head of department of biomedical engineering at National University of Science and Technology. I feel fortunate being the recipient of Prime Minister Office mandate that was given to me many years ago to set up Pakistan's first state-owned medical device industry. So I was working as a founding CEO at Innovative Health Technologies, which was Pakistan's first state-owned medical device industry, and I was the founding director at Medical Devices Development Center, a center of excellence supported by the Planning Commission and Ministry of Science and Technology. So, why does that matter to you? Because when we build software for a clinical practice or a medical device like ventilators and infusion pumps, we understand the hardware, the clinical use cases, test cases, and regulatory pathway, not just the code. Our legacy is not just about few projects. We have a rich history of setting up Pakistan's first state-owned medical device industry. We have been in R&D, production, and regulatory clearance and approvals of medical devices and healthcare technologies for over 2 decades. And that means we know what it takes to get a healthcare technology cleared for market, not just its built. And we have a cross-functional team of engineers, regulatory affairs specialists, production specialists, and scientists, and they've been involved in the research and development and production of healthcare technologies and medical devices. They've been also involved in the development of softwares and their testing and validation, and they were exposed and engaged for the last many years in both software development lifecycle and software testing lifecycle for especially software as a medical device and software in medical device. So we operate on a hybrid model that gives you the best of both worlds. Our offshore R&D and production facility is in Pakistan, and where we have research labs and certified production facility, along with a very seasoned team of regulatory affairs specialists. This is where we keep the cost competitive and timelines fast. But our headquarter is right here in the US, in Minnesota. This is where we manage global operations, regulatory excellence, and strategic partnerships. So you deal with a US based company, US contracts, US compliance. So no offshoring headaches and no time zone nightmares. Mostly healthcare companies help you technically in one area, and most of the software companies, they give you only one thing, that is code. Then you have to run around finding a separate venue for its testing and validation, for its regulatory compliance. And in case of medical devices, people with good ideas, they would need an R&D lab and a separate and dedicated production facility and regulatory consultants. So we are different. We are a one-stop destination. So we have three different wings. Our R&D wing comprises of several different research labs, having different capabilities like biomaterials and drug synthesis. Then we have a software center And then we have embedded systems lab where we design, develop our own medical grade electronics, and we have a testing lab for medical devices and healthcare technologies. And we have a very well equipped manufacturing suite comprising of both additive manufacturing technologies like robust industrial grade 3D printers and conventional subtractive manufacturing like CNC lasers and other mechanical fabrication related setup. Uh, Along with that, we have a production wing which is ISO 13485 certified, and it has also been given a license from DRAP, which is a regulatory authority in Pakistan. And that this certified production wing comprises of ISO class 5, 7, and 8 clean rooms for medical grade manufacturing of both healthcare technologies and devices. Then we have a regulatory wing, which entails, a cross-functional, seasoned team of regulatory affairs specialists who've been involved in the regulatory approvals of healthcare technologies and medical devices in different territories like US for FDA approvals for different technologies, and in European EMA for CE approvals for the manufacturers who are stationed in European Union, and same is the case for UK CA from UK and Saudi FDA. So we turn at Revive Medical Technologies, we are turnkey, and we turn your healthcare ideas into a marketable product without you having to manage 10 different consultants and companies and vendors. Our software center has a very unique software engineering team led by Mr. Wajad Ali Khan, along with other core members who are involved in the software quality assurance, software regulatory compliance, and software development. So this core team members, they are involved in crafting and solving different solutions and helping clinical practices in US for their different workflow related issues. So they are the ones who make sure your healthcare software or application is not only beautiful, but it is also audit ready and and compliant with the regulatory framework. Now, let me zoom out and talk about AI in healthcare, because this is where most of our clients are investing today. AI is transitioning medicine from a historical reactive sick care model to a proactive, continuous, and highly personalized paradigm. So, in predictive and preventive care, AI forecasts disease risk, and it enables early intervention and preemptive healthcare routing by analyzing longitudinal patient data, for example, from EHRs, from wearables, and genomics. Machine learning continuously assesses individual risk profiles to forecast health issues and prompt interventions before symptoms ever appear. Today, AI models, they use advanced analytics to bridge the gap between early detection and active medical intervention. And machine learning algorithms in this era, they evaluate historical patient data, environmental variables, and lifestyle factors to calculate the weighted risk of developing conditions like diabetes, heart failure, or cancer. And IoT based sensors and wearables and patient owned devices, they feed real time biometric data like heart rhythm, glucose levels to algorithms that detect subtle physiological deterioration, and they are involved in the prevention of severe complications. And same is the case with diagnostic accuracy. AI matches or exceeds human experts in analyzing radiological images like X-rays, MRIs, and CT scans for cancer, tuberculosis, and retinopathy. AI in medical diagnostics typically shows high performance, and it often exceeds 90% sensitivity and specificity in structured image-based tasks. Uh, and AI generally performs at par with general practitioners today, but there are studies that shows that it has not yet reached the reliability of medical experts, and it works best as an assistive tool. Uh, some of the extracts from the different papers, I can share it with you here, that in dermatology, AI demonstrates 86% sensitivity and 94% specificity for detecting melanoma, and it performs comparable to human specialists. But in radiology, AI tools consistently achieves up to 95% accuracy in specific areas like lung cancer detection and retinal disease screening, and they often surpass non-expert radiologists in sensitivity and 30 to when we talk about operational efficiency 30 to 40% healthcare spending is involved in administrative work, and AI transforms clinical practice by automating administrative tasks, accelerating diagnostics, and optimizing resource allocation. So these tools save hours of manual clerical work daily, and they help medical professionals to mitigate burnout, to cut down operational cost, and dedicate more time to patient care. So, for example, AI scribes automatically transcribe patient and physician interactions and update electronic health record in real time. And there are studies that note that up to a 40% drop in physician burnout, and it actually provides a significant reduction in after hours charting for the physicians. And predictive algorithms today, they forecast patient admissions and they optimize bed and staff allocation. And same is the case with AI powered front desk operations. They streamline appointment scheduling and minimize waiting room times. And in AI in personalized medicine replaces the outdated one size fits all approach by analyzing vast genomic, clinical, and lifestyle datasets to tailor therapies to individual patients. So it optimizes disease prevention, accelerates drug discovery, and continually adapts treatments based on real time health data. AI predicts how an individual will metabolize a drug, and it minimizes adverse reactions and it maximizes the clinical effectiveness of medications. So we build all of these at Revive Medical Technologies, but we also do something which most of the companies they won't tell you, and that truth is about risk. So the exciting part is that these are the real world applications already uh, delivering value in the world, and the exciting part is that they are not future concepts. They are already creating valuable uh, 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 measurable value today. And traditionally, discovering a drug would take like 10 to 15 years. So, according to uh, this company in silico medicine, they have demonstrated that AI can predict promising drug candidates within months instead of years. So it can dramatically reduce development time and research cost. And in patient monitoring, AI transforms patient monitoring by continuously analyzing biometric data from wearables and sensors and these gadgets and patient owned devices and edge devices, and it can establish personalized health baselines. It enables, through these technologies, real-time anomaly detection. It can automate routine nursing workflows, and it allows providers to predict critical medical events such as cardiac arrhythmias or dangerous blood sugar spikes before they escalate. In remote patient monitoring, AI processes thousands of daily data points from patient-owned devices like heart rate, blood pressure, and oxygen levels, and it is now shifting care from hospital to the home. And when we talk about agentic AI, this is actually something very prevailing in the developed countries like US and Europe. So agentic AI, it refers to autonomous artificial intelligence systems that can perceive, plan, and execute multi-step tasks to achieve a specific goal with minimal human intervention. So instead of merely generating text, it utilizes tools, evaluates its own work, it audits its own outcome, and adapts its strategy dynamically to get work done. So agentic AI systems operate through a continuous loop of five core operations, that is perception, reasoning, planning, action, and reflection. And if we talk about the first phase, which is perception, it gathers context and information from the surrounding environment and databases. And in the reasoning stage, it utilizes large language models to analyze context. And in planning, it breaks down complex high level objectives into actionable steps. And during action, it interacts with the software system, APIs, or databases to perform tasks. And lastly, in the reflection stage, it evaluates its outcome and iterate or adjusts the plan if necessary. So if we talk about MedAgent as a medical advisor, it typically refers to advanced reasoning-based AI system designed to assist healthcare professionals in diagnosing and managing patient care. These systems use agentic workflows, meaning they don't just chat but can independently plan diagnostic steps. They can pull clinical evidence and analyze multimodal patient data. So instead of using one AI model performing one task, multiple specialized AI agents collaborate, and they operate like a medical team. So one agent reviews the radiology reports, one agent reviews the labs, and one agent reviews the medication interaction, and one writes the clinical documentation, and together they make recommendations to the physician. So this is where most of the healthcare organizations are now exploring. This is the direction they are exploring now, these are healthcare practices and organizations. And the adoption is accelerating because these organizations already seeing measurable returns on investment. So the numbers are real, and the market numbers, they're real. 95% of healthcare leaders expect Gen AI transformation. 54% are already seeing ROI within 1 year of deployment. So the opportunity is massive, but there are some problems which I'm going to talk about now. So, medical progress is no longer measured solely by model accuracy. True integration depends on how we address the critical barriers defined by the ethics framework. So, this AI ethics framework is a structured set of principles, guidelines, and processes. It is designed to ensure AI is developed and deployed responsibly. So it helps organizations, especially healthcare organizations, to mitigate risk, to prevent algorithmic bias, and align technological advancements with human centric values and fundamental rights. So if we talk about environment, this is one emerging issue, which is environmental toll, environmental cost, and massive carbon footprint. So modern healthcare AI systems don't run on small servers, they run on large scale GPU infrastructures. So as hospitals scale AI across radiology, labs, and documentation, the hidden cost is massive computational energy consumption. So sustainability is now becoming part of healthcare AI governance. And if we talk about transparency, so the Epic sepsis prediction model is a real incident, is a real world example where it was deployed in multiple US hospitals to detect early sepsis. And however, independent evaluations and found that it missed many true sepsis cases, and it generated too many false alarms, and clinicians had limited visibility into how predictions were made. So this led to widespread criticism of black box clinical AI systems in real hospital environment. So this is a real example, which is Epic sepsis prediction model that was used and deployed in US hospitals recently, and it was designed to detect life-threatening infections early. But later, studies showed that it was unreliable. It was missing real cases, real sepsis cases, while generating too many false alarms. So more importantly, clinicians could not clearly understand how the model reached its decision. In medicine, if you cannot explain a decision, you cannot safely trust it. And same is the case with the next challenge that we have, which is hallucination. And I'm going to again quote another real world incident that occurred between 2024 and 2025, that was related to Google's MedGemini healthcare AI. It produced a medically incorrect anatomical term, and it referred to a non existent structure that was basilar ganglia. It sort of conflated two different structures, basilar ganglia with the basilar artery. So Experts flagged this as a hallucinated medical concept, and it raised concerns about AI generated clinical content being used and trusted in radiology workflows. So, in healthcare, even a small hallucination can become a serious clinical risk. And in case of inclusiveness issues in AI in healthcare, that occurs when algorithms are trained on non diverse, non represented data sets or from limited demographics. So it leads to biased diagnosis and inaccurate treatment recommendations. And that poses unequal access to care or healthcare disparities for underrepresented groups. So inclusiveness is not a future risk. It is already there in clinical practice today, especially in US. So pulse oximeters, I'm again quoting another real world example and problem. Pulse oximeters, they've been shown to overestimate oxygen levels in patients with darker skin tones. So that means some patients may appear clinically stable while actually being in distress. So this is a real example of how bias in medical systems directly affects patients' safety. And even in recent 2024-2025 analysis, this remains a live healthcare equity issue and not a fully resolved problem. Researchers now highlight this as a foundational example of how biased training data or calibration affects clinical safety across populations. And then we have the cost issue. And AI economics, it is now a challenge when usage becomes a liability. So we are already seeing early warning signs in large tech companies that AI cost is not linear. It explodes with usage. And in recent 2026 industry commentary, it was reported uh, that engineering teams from large tech companies like Microsoft and Uber, they have been associated with rapid exhaustion of internal AI usage budgets and quotas. So the key issue is not model price. It is usage scale plus unrestricted agent loops. So when thousands of engineers or systems begin using AI continuously, token consumption scales exponentially, and agent workflows call models repeatedly, and then the cost becomes unpredictable and unbounded. So this is why most of the healthcare organizations now are now actively introducing usage caps, model routing strategies, and AI budget governance layers. So this is where healthcare AI can quietly shifting from innovation to financial risk and liability. Without strict architectural control, the cost becomes unpredictable per patient. Systems become compute heavy per decision, and agent loops can cause infinite or redundant reasoning cycles. So, real time monitoring systems now have now become always on cost engines. So, this is why architecture matters more than models. And at Revive Medical Technologies, we mitigate this by using smart model routing strategies where small models are called first and large models are used only when they are needed. And we are introducing confidence based execution by avoiding unnecessary LLM calls and caching clinical knowledge retrieval instead of regenerating responses. And we are also introducing a limitation to agent loops with hard stop conditions. And then we have the problem related to safety and security breaches and vulnerabilities, especially when we are dealing with the patient health information. And this is also another issue which needs to be dealt responsibly. I've already shared these data and algorithmic failures. I've quoted real incidents, especially with regards to bias and inequality. And then we have another problem related to uh, this hallucination. So a confident answer is not necessarily a correct answer. So then we have this black box problem where physicians and clinicians they cannot most of the time explain the output and the predictions made by the AI softwares. So let me now talk about the work, the human and systemic barriers. And workflow, we expect from AI to uh, uh, compress time and to streamline uh, administrative burden and to accelerate diagnostic process and speed. So, however, its workflow integration is frequently stalled by poor data interoperability, legacy EHR systems, and algorithmic bias and clinical resistance due to black box models. So, these poorly designed AI tools disrupt care patterns. So, fragmented panels, they increase overhead instead of reducing it. So, we will have to follow the 30% rule, and that 30% rule defines that we should design AI workflows so that AI handles up to 70% of repetitive preparatory and administrative work like medical writing, medical coding, scheduling, and it allows human clinicians to retain the 30% for oversight and review and their decision. And then we have problem related to trust and literacy, where mostly frontline nurses and clinical assistants and physicians, they lack formal training in medical AI, and that actually fuels professional skepticism and high public distrust. And then there is a problem related to accountability. So if you just consider this scenario where AI recommends a treatment, the doctor follows it, and the patient experiences harm. So who is going to be liable or responsible? The software company, the hospital, or doctor? So AI regulatory frameworks are still evolving and they are still trying to answer these questions. So this is largely unanswered matters from the regulatory standpoint. So then we have the cost infrastructure related problems where this advanced medical AI, it is creating another risk of setting up a two-tiered healthcare system where elite institutions and hospitals, they benefit while resource limited settings are left behind. So without active mitigation, we will have to sort of curtail this problem, and we will have to deploy equity based infrastructure where resource limited hospital settings and practices can also benefit, and the cost infrastructure can be controlled accordingly. So technology is alone is not a silver bullet, but without these engineering and even governance guardrails, healthcare AI remains unsafe. So for bias and inequity, we recommend diverse uh, training of algorithms on a diverse population, on represented data points and data sets, and and we recommend routine algorithmic equity audits. So by incorporating comprehensive training pattern where the algorithm is trained on representative data sets and diverse data points, and where the demographics are extensive, and then we are if the routine algorithmic equity audits are in place, I think that these both solutions will fill this gap, and we can get rid of this bias and inequity in AI. And then we have problem related to hallucination. So the recommendation is RAG plus human in the loop checkpoints. So by using RAG agents, you can ground your AI yeah, in specific trusted documents or databases rather than letting it guess from memory. So we can use retrieval augmented generation agents grounded in certified clinical knowledge bases plus mandatory human in the loop checkpoints before final execution. So while we cannot AI hallucinations cannot be completely eliminated at the moment, but we can at least drastically reduce its occurrence and mitigate their damage. And then we have problem related to black box clinical AI. related problems that can be resolved by explainable AI and by deploying SHAP and Lime and feature relevance visualizers, or even co-designing UI with clinicians to display clear, plain language reasoning for deep network alerts. So the AI black box problem in healthcare refers to advanced diagnostic and treatment models like deep learning networks. So they make highly accurate predictions, but they obscure the step-by-step reasoning used to reach them. So developers actively can use explainable AI frameworks so that they can translate obscure machine learning output into clear, readable, and causal explanations for healthcare workers. So, this will allow models to show their work and highlight exactly which patient data points or medical scans influence the final prediction. So SHAP basically is an explainable AI framework. It used to interpret and understand the prediction of machine learning models, and it more importantly, it breaks down models' output to show exactly how much each input feature contributed to the final decision. Like SHAP, it assigns a value to every metric in patient's medical record, showing exactly which variables, for example, cholesterol levels and high blood pressure, influence the final output, which is recommended by the AI model. And then we have problem related to security risk. So we can use and federated learning can be the solution of security risk, where the training algorithms across hospitals without patient data ever leaving their local firewalls. So federated learning basically is a decentralized machine learning technique that trains AI models directly across multiple edge devices or local servers instead of sending sensitive raw data to a centralized server or location. So the model comes to the data, and only the encrypted model updates are shared. So it is a decentralized machine learning technique that trains AI models directly on the edge devices without transferring the raw data. So one of the common example is predictive text algorithms on your phone, like Google's Gboard. It learns from your typing habits directly on the device. So by improving text suggestions and without ever uploading your personal messages into the central server. And then the human and workflow integration would be the second solution, where mandatory AI literacy programs can be implemented within the healthcare organization. And we are also helping some of the clinical practice and healthcare organizations in setting up these programs for their frontline nurses and medical associates and physicians. So by learning through this AI literacy programs, these professionals can spot algorithmic errors confidently. And the second solution would be ethical leader oversight, where uh, we recommend appointing a chief AI officer and who can be responsible for AI literacy and implementation of AI governance framework within the organization. And he can lead and form independent oversight boards to review fairness and deployment related activities, and they can even come up with guidelines and SOPs within the organizations related to AI usage and its equity based usage and its responsible usage. Then the thirdly, the regulatory and structural roadmap would be another set of solutions for these problems, like prospective clinical trials. We recommend real world clinical validations, not to just bank on retrospective data set studies before FD or C approvals of healthcare softwares, and then continuous post market monitoring, where we can automate data auditing for model drift. If a model is degrading over a period of time, and then we can audit the model drift and output quality of the model, and even safely sunset outdated models. So, thirdly, interoperability standards by enforcing FHIR to secure APIs for seamless records transfer between different healthcare softwares and platforms, AI-driven platforms. And then, fourthly, support for resource limited settings. So we can recommend and government grants and foundations to subsidize AI access in community clinics and low income regions. So health equity must be actively engineered into models from day one. It should not be treated as a compliance afterthought. So at Revive Medical Technologies, we are offering several different sets of services, and we are in the business of developing these AI-driven software solutions, applications, remote patient monitoring systems, and chronic care management systems. And we are also in the business of giving testing and validation services and regulatory services for this ONC certification and compliances related to fire and HIPAA compliance. So AI will revolutionize healthcare, but only if we lead with ethics, equity, and evidence. So this is not actually marketing. I'm not trying to market my company's portfolio here, but this is actually our operating principle. Thank you very much for your time and for having me in this conference. Assalamu alaikum.